everybody. Welcome to On the Edge of Entertainment, where I bring my good friends from Las Vegas and around the globe to speak to me about the entertainment business and their part in it, and maybe give you tips on how to get better at it, or you just never know what you're going to hear. So stay tuned, like and subscribe. And today I have to introduce John Domenico.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. So
Hey,
great to be on
everybody.
the edge of entertainment. I'm on the edge of
Uh,
my seat.
we are literally on the edge of entertainment with John today. He is the premier Trump impersonator.
Huge.
And as such, he's gotten a lot of notoriety, of course, because of the fact that Trump is president right now. But in addition to that, obviously, to be able to do something like that, he is an actor. He's Emmy nominated, and he's an award-winning Trump. And he's done so many great jobs. I can't wait for him to tell you all about some stuff.
Very excited.
So, yeah. So, right off the bat, why don't you tell us about this Emmy nomination?
Well, as you know, I do a lot of different characters, and I do a lot of, I do full wardrobe like you. So I do, Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, Dr. Phil, Larry King, and that's always been my thing to do it as an actor, do it as if it were a show, like a full scale show. And because of that, I got cast in a commercial out of the Northeast in Boston, where they wanted to have about 6 of my characters for a new cellular company that was
Wow.
launching. And we shot the commercial. We had a great time. It was just so much fun doing all the different characters. And they had rented a house where we did the bits. So as I was, Guy Fieri, I'm in the kitchen, grabbing the bus to Flavortown, baby. And
Yes.
then with Austin Powers, I was lounging in the living room, baby. Yeah. And as Dr. Phil, I was in front of the fireplace. What were you thinking? So each one was a little different. And the guy said, who the production company said, you know what, this is pretty good. We're going to submit it for an Emmy. I was like, wow, that
Oh
would be
my
great.
gosh.
And then they called me and said, we were nominated. I'm like, oh my God. So it was like
Wow.
in the category in the region of Boston, every market has its own, Philadelphia, here, all these things. So, but in that market, which is actually a pretty large market, I got nominated. We got nominated, not me, but the commercial got nominated. I was the only one in it. And they were like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, what an opportunity.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I got an official invite from the arts and the actual Emmy, um, there's a specific name for it, and it had my name on it and the commercial and all that. And, I had to fly myself there, and, buy the ticket, but it was
Yeah.
it was an amazing experience. And the guy who played Big Bird for all those years, he
Yeah.
was now by that point confined to a wheelchair, but he was
Oh,
the guest of honor that night at that local regional Emmys, and it was an amazing night. That alone made it worth the trip. And then
mm.
I opened the booklet. We're at the table and all these people, a lot of local news people, but I opened the booklet. There's my category was a comedy category, and it was,
Nice.
Mad Star Mobile, John D. Domenico. And then it was Boston Red Sox. Then the next one was Boston Red Sox. I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're in Boston and I'm going up against
Oh
not,
no.
not just the Boston Red Sox once, but twice.
Oh man,
And then,
they had to win.
so then they got to our category and it came up like Mad Star Mobile, and they showed like a clip of our commercial and it got a great response. Then they showed the 2 Boston Red Sox commercials, and I was like, I already know we're not going up.
Oh
So,
dang.
but it was, as they say, honestly, it is an honor to be nominated because they send you all the official stuff from the Emmys, and it was really cool. It was a
Well,
really great
absolutely. You have to also be at a certain level to be nominated, So it is an honor, and it proves you're a great talent. And I'm sorry that you didn't win, because that sounds huge. If I had to do all 3 of my characters for, one thing, I know it would be a lot of work. It would be almost too much to handle.
Yeah, it was 2 long days of switching in and switching out and getting all the shots, but it was a lot of fun. I really loved working with that team. So that was that story, and we did
Hmm.
that. And that was, I think Trump was he in the commercial? not even sure if he was in the spot. Yeah, he was in the spot. He was in the spot.
Yeah.
And that was the year he was running. So he
Oh.
hadn't become president yet. So kind of
Oh.
worked out that he was in there. It was, you know, that kind of helped a lot. I don't think anybody else had done a commercial with Trump at that point.
Mm-hmm. I think you did Trump a lot before he became president.
Yeah, I started doing Trump in 2004, and I'm the
Wow.
third person ever. It was Phil Hartman, Daryl Hammond, and me. I'm the third person ever to appear as Trump on television. And
Oh.
what happened was I got called in 2004 for a voiceover for Trump from a New York agent. And they said, "Are you doing Trump yet?" And I was like, he's in my head. I had met him. I'd been following him since like 1985, 86. I met him in 1999 because I was doing a show at the Plaza, Trump Plaza. And then I co-hosted his 55th birthday as Austin Powers at the Castle
Wow.
in Atlantic City. So I got to meet him again and spend a little more time with him. So he's always kind of been in my head. And then 2004, when the audition came in, they said, "Can you do the voice?" And I said, "Can you give me like an hour?" Because I just had to quickly like break the voice down, you know, because I always break every voice down by elements.
You did it in an hour?
Well, I knew
good.
that I knew that that I could. I knew that was, you know, from the Northeast, and I have the same nasality. And then once I said yes, I'll do it. I ran out and got the first season of The Apprentice, which just had come out. So I spent that entire weekend, like 30 hours of material, breaking his voice down, like throat placement, nasal placement, vocal production in the mouth, where it's coming out, where it was coming here, cadence, the rhythm of the voice, all those things. And once I break all that down, I just reassemble it, and then I'm able to do the voice.
You sound like you've had a lot of training, or you could train people how to do this.
Well, I had speech therapy. I had a severe speech impediment as a child. So it wasn't necessarily, I had training kind of like backwards because I couldn't speak. So I was with speech pathologists for 8 years to retrain me so I could be understandable. Because when I was a kid, I would do voices, but when I spoke in my own voice, you couldn't understand me.
And this goes to prove that, you know, when you have an issue, it doesn't always have to be an issue. Like eventually in your life, you would take that impediment and turn it into being a voiceover actor, which is just a complete 180.
Yeah, it is ironic. The thing that I had the most trouble with, I actually do now.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. And it's also the testament to focusing on something. When you focus on something, that's when you get good at it. You know,
right.
So if
those
it's a problem,
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. So you have your PhD then in speech therapy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was, you know, because they were always trying to, for me, there was like vocal production, the vocal mask, how you create sound, tongue placement, which is a big deal for me because that was really the issue. Because I used to sound like Elmer Fudd. That's what people told me. So it was really my tongue was kind of in the way. So once you're able to control the tongue and do all the other things, the throat placement, the nasal placement, all those kind of things, you can do the voices, baby. Yeah.
And you know what it is too, and I saw it when you were doing it, is it's also the facial features.
Yes.
Like when you change your face to be like somebody else, it changes the voice.
It does. It really, you know, you and I both know that because it's, you know, it's like, what were you thinking? And with Trump, it's the, you know, that resting kind of bitch face that he had. You know.
Yeah. And you kind of put your chin out and your teeth kind of are prominent when you do
that.
that.
All the movement in here, you know, even with someone like Dr. Evil, you know, Scott, you're just not evil enough. You're quasi-evil. You're semi-evil. You're the Diet Coke of evil. Just one Kelly, you know.
I love Dr. Evil. Oh my gosh. I love it. We should show some of these people something on you. Let me share the screen and play. Sure. Let me just pick one of your Instagram posts.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Our next guest, an Emmy-nominated actor, comedian, has been an entertainer in off-Broadway presentations, on television, corporate events worldwide for several decades now. Master Impersonator.
John D. Domenico is the world's most successful Trump impersonator.
The #1 Donald Trump impersonator.
Doing Trump since the, 2005 or something?
2004, I did my first few voiceovers, and then 2006, I was actually on Fox and Friends.
We hear you've just been named the world's best Donald Trump impersonator.
You're the best impersonator I've seen, because there have been a bunch of them.
We're gonna make America great again. We will make America great again. I'm absolutely amazing. I have to tell you. I have to tell you. And I have to tell you. I have to tell you. And I have to tell you. They love me. Yes, they love me. They love me. They're calling me their boo. They're calling me their boo.
And it led to all of these, what, over 50, 60 appearances on Conan O'Brien's show.
On Conan, on Fox, on Red Eye. I'm the voice of Trump on the Trump cast.
Are you feeling Trumpy?
Very trippy.
John D. Domenico is in character. As the #1 President Trump impersonator in the world, you may have seen him in the Super Bowl ad with Kirk Cousins. You may have seen him during a special cameo during our Good Day Halloween show.
From what my agents tell me, we're getting anywhere from 6 to 10 calls a day for either interviews, voiceovers, corporate meetings, meet and greets. It's like a dream.
All right, we're back. So that's just a random one that I picked, and
yeah, and I'm trying to put out more content. You know, one of the things that the reason I ended up on Stern was because I started doing more just content. When I was in wardrobe shooting cameos or something, I said, well, let me just do a rant. Let me do a Trump rant, and those I try to do those regularly now. And then one of those took off and went viral, and that was how it ended up on. That's how I ended up on Piers Morgan, the morning show in London, and ending up on Stern.
He was on Howard Stern. Everybody, we just kind of skipped right over that.
I caught
when
you.
he says Stern, that's what he's talking about.
I was dead.
And you've got a chance to work with Alec Baldwin. What was that like?
Was great. You know what it was when they had called, when my agent called and said this was a possibility. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then when I was we were on a conference call with the client before we got to the next step. They were saying how they wanted him to do Trump, but because of his contract with SNL, he's not allowed to do Trump other than on SNL. And he was fine to having a Trump open for him. So I was very excited. Yeah, I was very excited. And they gave me 12 minutes to open this event. And then he was going to, it was a handoff. I was, going to do my 12 minutes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, terrible person, Alec Baldwin. But as he came up to the stage, he looked at me, he goes, you're good. You're good. And he said, can we get some chairs? And I was like, what's happening? And he said, sit. He goes, you can drop the character. And there's a group of like 800 people. And he said, I do Trump 5-6 minutes every 2 weeks on SNL. And he goes, and I'm horrible. And he goes, this guy's really good.
Oh my gosh.
He changed the format of the event and did a little mini interview with me. And I was shocked. I was shocked.
Wow.
So it was very gratifying. I mean, I think he's an amazing talent, and I think he's so funny, and what a great actor.
He's been around forever. He's great.
Forever.
I love those guys, all those brothers.
Yeah, a leading man, comedic guy, 30 Rock. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience to have that happen. And I got some great photos out of it. And I really, we've got to do our social media. So I leveraged
Amazing. Well, send me one after and I'll pop it up here for sure.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the pilot that you were doing, or are you allowed to?
I'm allowed to because it unfortunately is not happening. But Robert Smigel, who is one of the writers on SNL for a really long time, who created like Triumph, the insult comic dog, if you know who that is. He also created the ambiguously gay duo. He's a lot of name things from SNL. He's the guy who created it. And then he left SNL to do the Dana Carvey show, which has a famous, among comedians, there's amazing history among that show.
Yes.
And he went back to SNL, and then he went out on his own. And what we were trying to do, I'm sure that you as like, since you do what I do similarly, there's a
Mm-hmm.
show in England called Spitting Images. Do you know the
Mm-hmm.
show by any chance?
I don't know.
It's
I'm
a
not sure.
political comedy show, but they use puppets, like really like high end,
Oh,
full scale puppets. And
okay.
I was cast in that show to be Trump. And we even went to a Trump rally. We shot at the rally, and it was going to be a Fox show. And I was one of these
Oh
things
my
like,
gosh.
oh my God, finally, I'm going to be on
Yeah.
network television. It's
Yeah.
going to be set. And then, like
Oh
many other
man.
projects, it just did not follow through. So it was, I don't get my hopes up anymore. I do the work, and then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I did an episode of The Good Fight in New York before the whole lockdown started, where I played Trump on an SNL type show with Christine Baranski, and that's on CBS. So that was a nice little thing.
Nice.
This whole business, as you well know, it's bricks in the wall. It's not like overnight success. It's like you're just working and working and working and building your resume and becoming better as a performer and as an artist and as a business person, because if you're going to stay in this business as long as we have, you really have to be smart about what you do and how you do it, and your social media and all these other components that make it possible for us to keep working. Because every day everyone's looking for work as a performer in the best times. During COVID, it's even a little more difficult.
It's true, but I'm sure that you have what I've been having lately, which is really a good feeling, is to get a lot of work from referrals.
Yeah.
So it's somebody who absolutely knows that you are great, and then they refer you. And that's really a good feeling, because it just proves that you're at a certain point where people respect what you do and that you have gotten good at it, amazing at it. And then people want to put their name on it for you.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing with virtual meetings. We've gone to clients that I've done national sales meetings for live for many years, either as myself or as one of the characters, and they're just dipping their toe. They have to have meetings. They have to rally their sales team. They have to reach out to their franchisees. So we're adding that component that I would add live just now in a virtual setting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to do that as well. I mean, do you make a studio in your home, or do you just do what I'm doing here and put on a nice background? Or, I mean, I actually invested in some music equipment, and I had a lot of stuff already. So, I
I
feel
think
like
you
I'm
have to
ahead of the
do,
game.
I think you need to do everything. I have the live studio. I've got a studio here. Obviously with Skype or Zoom, we can change this background. I can have a presidential thing. I can, the Dr. Phil show, whatever it is. We've done some stuff from um, the studio, only because it just looks better. It gives you that kind of three-dimensional look. And if it works for whatever you're doing, but yeah, I think we all have to be a little more. I'm actually even coaching clients on how to have the meetings, because they themselves don't know what to do. If it's 5 executives and one person's on a laptop, one person's on an iPad, the camera's down here and they're looking up and no one has lighting, it looks
Mm-hmm.
terrible. So I'm just trying to help them have the best virtual online meeting, even with like the basics, like, hey, get a mic.
Yeah.
Sounds 10 times better. Put some light on your face. Don't wear a t-shirt, even though you're at home. Cut out all
Yeah.
the distractions, all those types of things. So what I'm trying to do is add more of it, not just as a performer and a writer and a host or moderator, but to add value. Like, hey, listen, I've done a lot of these already. I can help you make your meeting look a lot better than just, because you wouldn't have a crappy live meeting. You'd have a production company. So a lot of people are just thinking, we're going to do a Zoom meeting, but what I'm explaining to them is you need to produce it as you
Mm-hmm.
would your live meeting. So that's gratifying that I can help these clients kind of work their way through, but also at the same time, it benefits me because I get to stick with them
Mm-hmm.
as they are transitioning to a virtual, way of doing their meetings or trade shows or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's great. And you and I have both seen on television that they still don't have the stuff perfected. Everybody
Nope.
is working from home, and it's not always effective, and they're not hitting the mark. I think the other day, I don't know why, but I saw Kelly Clarkson with absolutely not a stitch of makeup on.
Wow.
And And it looked like she forgot that she had a show, and then she was like, "Oh," stepped out of the shower or something and jumped on the show. I was so confused. I'm like, "Really?
What's going
That's not
on?
acceptable. I don't really want to see you without your makeup on."
I was amazed because, I watch all the late night shows. I watch Seth Meyers and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. And I was amazed how I was like, these guys are, make a lot of money doing their shows. And like the first few shows from Seth Meyers' house, he didn't even have a microphone. I'm like, can't
Wow.
they FedEx him a mic?
I know,
I
right?
was
I
kind of
mean,
shocked, because I've been working with a microphone from my home for years because
right.
I was just very surprised.
It is surprising. It really is surprising. And I guess, that goes to, something you said earlier, which is you really have to know the business of showbiz. And a lot of artists, I think, just kind of leave that in the hands of the people that handle them.
100%.
And whereas you and I have been struggling to, to get there, and we're in an age where this stuff is readily available. So why not utilize it and just, go to B&H or Sweetwater and find some
They are
things
going to
that you
appreciate
need.
the plugs.
I
It's
know.
so
Well, I
funny.
tried to call them and get them, to help me out.
I
But
listen,
so far,
when I lived in New York, I love B&H, man. They had the
I
best
know.
prices. They had
I
the
love
best
B&H.
prices.
And they always
Yeah.
give you like a little gift at the end. It's like, if
Yeah.
you spend X amount of dollars, you're going to get a free pair of socks. I'm like, cool.
That store.
Every time I go to New York, I make sure I
You got to
stop
stop
there.
by B&H. Yeah, because you're always like, they have the best deals. They used to have a great deal on the Apple Aftercare, which you buy from Apple costs like $299 or $100. They actually had it cheaper because they would sell it as a loss leader. They don't do it anymore, but it was like, they had the best deals. So.
I just like the way it looks in there. You go in there and it's just this massive warehouse, and there's always somebody to help you. You're like,
Yeah.
where's the blah, blah, blah? And you just look stupid, and they're like, there's somebody right there. It's
Yeah,
right here,
they're
man.
great. And that's quite an operation at that point.
It is. It's pretty impressive.
I'm looking forward to going back to New York.
I know.
When this is all over. Obviously all of our jobs, all of our travel jobs canceled, but I always use my bookings in New York to visit my friends, and Michelle
me
comes with
too.
me, and we go see shows, and it's like, please, we have this end soon. Please.
I know. Yeah, I like to go to New York at least twice a year.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it like that. If I have a job, same thing, just kind of piggyback it with a couple of days.
Yeah, it's like a paid vacation.
Yeah, totally. So one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I'm very curious, is when you do these videos, and sometimes they're impromptu or what have you, but do you write them out or do you improv them?
I've done both, but I found it's better if I write them out. I may change, but one of the platforms that I'm on where I get a lot of traction is Twitter, and Twitter only allows me 2 minutes and 20 seconds, really like 2 minutes and 18 seconds, unless you're like a big wheel. I'm verified, but I don't have that where I can extend it. So I found I can either shoot it two ways. I can shoot it a Twitter version and a longer version. So if I'm going to do that, I need to write it out. And some of the ones that have gone viral, when they come to me, I'm thinking, oh, that would be funny. That would be funny. Can I come up with a beginning, middle, and an end? And if I can think of a beginning, middle, and an end, I'll just get in front of the camera and shoot it. Sometimes I come up with like the premise and I start writing, but I need a logical out. So then I just have to sit down and write it. So I have a list of viral videos I want to shoot, and I'm in the process of shooting them, and they're like something about the whole thing with Goya or defunding the police or this or that. But I'll have that initial idea, but I just have to figure out a way to get to the end. So that's how I usually work. But I love when it just comes to me like just fully formed, and I get in front of the camera and I bang it out, and it's going to be really, really incredible and fantastic. Believe me, it's going to be really incredible. Bam, that's like the best ones.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So, where did you grow up then?
I grew up in Ambler, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, and I started my career in Philadelphia. I was doing theater there and comedy and stand-up, because I'm like, I just want to do everything. I want to make movies. I want to do stand-up. So I was able, it's a good town for that because it doesn't swallow you up like Philadelphia, and kind of helped me get on my feet. And And also Atlantic City was really close. So I was able to perform in Atlantic City, perform in Philadelphia, perform in the Poconos, and then work my way up to North Jersey and then New York City. And then I moved to New York and did off-Broadway theater and off-Broadway and did stand up there. And then I started doing the corporate work along with pursuing acting and TV and film. But when I discovered the corporate work, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like they fly you to all these places and they put you up in great hotels and they feed you and you make great money and you work with great people, like great production teams. And around the time
Yes.
that I was just starting corporate, I was doing a lot of stand up and I'd be driving like to Dayton, Ohio and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, and I was grateful to do it. I learned a lot doing stand up, but it was everything was on your own dime. It was a very tough way to make money. The learning of learning how to write and be more concise and more efficient with your language was invaluable. And I wouldn't trade it. It was just, but it made me aware, like, I don't know if I want to do this for the next 10 years. I actually want to make some money. So when corporate came along, I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I really pursued corporate. And they're great, as you know, they're great audiences. They're really attentive, and you're at amazing hotels and venues and all over the country.
All over the country, sometimes all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. Places you'd never. I got to do a show in Bangkok, Thailand, Milan, Italy, shows in England. I did a commercial shoot in Serbia. I did another commercial in Jerusalem. So all of these things wouldn't have happened. I probably wouldn't have gone to some of these places or stayed at some of these hotels if it wasn't for the opportunity to do corporate work.
Exactly. And while you were talking, it kind of made me realize something and remember something, which is there's really no fast way to get into entertainment. Nope. You like you said, you paid your dues, you learned how to do it, you struggled, and you did all these different things building this entertainer that you are now. And there's no quick way to that, but there is a point at which you say, I think I'm worth more than what this is paying me. I think I can pass on these kind of jobs. It's time to move into something that pays better and start doing that. And unfortunately, I don't know where this life right now is going to take us.
Right.
It's worrisome for sure.
Yeah, a lot of the budgets are going to be cut for these things. That means it's going to affect us, but we still need to deliver something that's of value. So then they realize, hey, you know what? We can't do this virtual meeting without Cody. Was a great host and she did a great thing, and let's bring her back in because she brought the engagement up and the entertainment up and the retention. Because one of the issues with these Zoom meetings is people drop out. They're at home, they get bored. It's not the same thing. They're not being flown to Orlando or Chicago or Dallas, so they don't have that engagement factor that would just automatically come with it. They're in their homes, and if they're in their homes, the dog's barking, or they've got to get off because it's dinner or whatever it is. So for us as performers, and I call it infotainment, if you're doing corporate, to be able to show the value of what we do to a 2, 3, 4, 500 person webinar or whatever it is, and that's going to keep us working.
Yeah, I recently worked with some people from Second City. I'm going to have Cody Dove on the show, and he was telling me one of the challenges is that the audience is not there to feed us what we need, also to get the laugh when we're expecting it and the claps and things. So it's hard. It's a hard way to perform.
Yeah, I did my first stand-up show a few weeks ago. It was out of New York, and they had about 8 to 10 comics on the bill, and I had like a 8-9 minute set, and you could see the people. They did it so you could see the audience. But they had killed everyone's mic remotely on purpose, because otherwise it's like a cacophony of sound. It's very distracting.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started, I was looking at the audience and I couldn't hear them, and it was throwing me off because I need that instant feel. So I just eventually just looked at the green light and did my act.
Yeah.
And if they laughed, great. If they didn't, I was because I couldn't, I knew what should be getting a laugh. But when you do stand up, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily mean it gets a laugh. But I plowed through. So.
Did you save room for the laughing? Like assuming that.
Just a little, yeah, like where I knew I was definitely going to get it. And that was weird because that was just like a solo straight on performance. But when we do some of the Zoom things and I'm with like a host, a corporate, like the guy from the company, like the VP of sales or something, and maybe there's 2 other people on, at least with those, we're having an interaction. If you say something funny, they'll laugh. And it's kind of a cue, like, okay, I don't have to plow through this. So it's been a learning, it's a learning curve for everybody, for the presenters, for someone like a host like me doing comedy, or just interacting or talking with them, because you and I are pretty good. We're not stepping over each other, but even with these Zoom calls, you end up step over each other. And if I have a little bit of latency on my Wi-Fi, not on my internet, then they're already talking, and then I come in, and it's kind of funny.
That is weird. I'm also having some technical difficulties right now where when you're talking, usually you're highlighted and you're the one on the screen.
Right.
But while you're talking and I'm silent, it's coming back to me. And I'm like, what is going on? This thing is this thing is having some kind of a spaz fit.
Yeah. Well, the problem is everyone's online. I mean, everyone, all of your neighbors, everyone's downloading movies. They're having these meetings. The kids are gaming. It's like, you're here in Vegas. Cox was in the neighborhood recently. They actually sent me a survey saying, like, how's the service been since COVID started? I'm like, it sucks.
Oh my gosh. Well, I could say some things about them, but maybe I shouldn't.
All of a sudden they'll cut your internet off.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm having issues. I mean, actually mine's pretty good right now, but I'm paying for the,
Premium.
super duper extra gazillion
do you have the
gigabytes.
Gigablast? Do you have the Gigablast?
I do.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got the top tier, and I'm noticing not much of a difference.
Well, yeah, it's an issue. I also have an Eero net. The net that goes out to the different parts of the house. So,
oh yeah. That's great.
That helps. Yeah, I shouldn't tell people what my systems are.
I should have that, because I walk into like one room. I'm like, where's the signal? I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, my office is in the furthest back part of the house. So yeah. Oh well. We've given a lot of tips today to people that might be interested, and I just wondered if you had any more.
Well, I think, we kind of hit the nail on the head. If anybody's starting out, it's you're not going to skyrocket. The thing is Malcolm Gladwell's book, 10,000 Hours. Put your time in. I always say, and I'm a believer in this, I know that not everyone is, but in the beginning, do everything. If you can, do everything. Every experience brings something back to you. Now, obviously, when you're further along, you can't do that. But even if you can volunteer, if you're in Boise, Idaho, and the local SPCA is having a fundraiser, like say, hey, I can host, I can do that. I could show up and sing a song, whatever it is, put yourself out there. I always thought, as when I was in college, like, oh, and when I'm doing this and that, things are going to be so much easier because everything will be perfect. It's not. Things never believe me, even on like big corporate events, there's sound issues, there's technical issues.
Always.
You have to be prepared for any eventuality, as a comedian, as a performer, as a singer, whatever it is. It's amazing that things still go wrong on big shows. So put the time in, and also figure out what you want to do. And if you're not there yet, that's okay, because I thought I was going to be this, or I was going to be that, and you find out where your strengths actually lie over time. what your real skill set is. And you may like, I want to be TV and film, but I really love live performance. I really get a lot of a live audience. I love that instant reaction. So that's the beauty of corporate, which I didn't even know existed until like 96, 97. And then when I discovered that, I was like, holy cow. So, you know, as a performer, be open, do your thing, study, practice. I'm amazed. I watch shows like America's Got Talent and what's the other one? American Idol. And there's so many talented people. There's so many talented people. But you and I know it's not always the most talented people. You have to have drive. You have to have passion. This has got to be the thing that you want to do, because you need to get in our business as entertainers and actors and performers and singers, impersonators, tribute artists, whatever it is. You have to self-motivate. No one's going to wake you up in the morning and say, okay, get out there and find work. You know, you have to do it yourself, and you have to want to do it. It can't be drudgery. It's got to be part of like putting on a shirt and putting on your glasses. Is I have to look for work. And maybe that's not the right phrase, look for work, but I have to advance my career, and I have to keep the contacts going, and I have to practice on myself. There's so many components for us. If we sold widgets, it's just selling the widgets or selling cars. But for us, we have to sell ourselves, and we have to be in the best physical condition. We have to be in the best mental condition. Our vocal cords have to be in their best condition. We always have to be ready to go at a moment's notice, because we don't know what's coming down the pike. And you can't like, I'm going to gain 20 pounds and hang out this summer. No, we have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think those are amazing tips. I think one of my biggest tips is that whenever I get a job, and let's say it's 3 months down the line, I prepare that job immediately. I get it ready. I figure out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to wear, all that kind of stuff. I kind of like put it on the back burner after that, knowing that it's there. And then I could get a call next week that says, I'm going to be out of town for the next 3 months. But it'll be okay because I've already got those other jobs prepared and ready to go. And then I'll know that I have to take them with me and jump flights to get there, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It reduces an immense amount of stress.
Right.
The other
That's
thing,
all. That's great. That's actually, I should take that advice.
it's amazing. No, it
I'm like
really,
a game
really
day
is.
player. I do wait to the last minute, which is not great. I get a lot of crap from it from Michelle.
I can't, because then I'll find out that I have a button missing or something, and I won't have time to deal with it. And then I get like, you know, and then I sweat my makeup off because I'm too stressed, because I literally should be running out the door instead of fixing a button, you know. So, I mean, it really does reduce stress.
Oh, that's great. That's a good tip.
Yeah. And another thing that I would say to go along with what John said is it's an 8 hour a day job, if not more.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
up.
here, and I'll be here after we're done this. I'll still do some more work.
Yep, you're
to
doing
Friday.
editing, you're doing your websites, you're doing
Social
sending out.
media.
Somebody said we need some promotional material because we're going to be putting you on the ad for that job that you're doing in 3 months. You know, so you're always.
So you got to get that
doing
out.
stuff.
You can't wait. They want it, and you need to send it out. You have to, you know, no client wants to go, you know, I asked John for those promo photos 3 days ago. Like, doesn't he want the job? And it's like, you know, you've got to do the work, the admin, the back office work too. It's very,
Absolutely.
it's an important component.
It really, really, really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yay. Well, I'm so glad I had you on today.
Me too.
And
This was great.
I wish we could have seen more performances, but your impromptu stuff was amazing. I mean, just to go through your list of characters all in like 2 minutes flat, I was like, wow. Just to go from one to the other is amazing. Like for me, it's almost like you have to put on the mask, and once you have the mask on, you can see it. But that's not true. I could be Marilyn right
You
now.
could. Right into that. It was perfect.
So yeah. So anyway, it's been a pleasure,
Great.
and I'll be talking to you soon, I'm sure.
Yes. Have a great weekend. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you.